You are watching the Michigan Football Report. We are presented by Magic Spoon, the tastiest, healthiest, most nutrition-packed cereal on the market. Make sure you use our link at the bottom of the screen, magicspoon.com/GoBlue. Get $5 off your next order. Believe me, I never really ate cereal because of the sugar. I'm eating this stuff nearly every single day right now. magicspoon.com/GoBlue to get $5 off your order. We're going to do a little Michigan football trivia. You guys have been loving this in the comments, so we're continuing with the Michigan football trivia. Going to answer it later in the show. That seemed to be well received from last week. Which Michigan quarterback has the most completions in a single game in the history of the program? So go and answer that in the comments. We will take a look at that question here later on in the show. Let's see which one of you guys can answer it below. We've got Michigan football recruiting rumors, a little news on the basketball team, and a look at a new wide receiver on campus and what made him choose the Michigan football program as a transfer. It's the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports coming up right now. Welcome into today's show. We're going to talk a little bit Michigan basketball later in the show, but the topic of the month so far is Michigan football recruiting, and that is where we start today's show. 4 commitments so far this month for Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines, and we could have a 5th right around the corner. So, 4-star defensive lineman, is he ready to commit? Is there a commitment on the horizon for Harbaugh's Wolverines? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads, which means that it is pretty likely going down, and we are going to talk about that story surrounding Jim Harbaugh's Michigan football program right now. 4-star defensive lineman Mario Eugenio out of the state of Florida, 4 stars, defensive end, number 283 overall, out of Clearwater, Florida. Visited Michigan last weekend, I guess 2 weekends ago, depending on what calendar you use, the weekend of June 18th. Was supposed to visit Indiana this weekend, but canceled that visit right coming off the Michigan visit on the 18th, the same weekend that Walter Nolan was in town. And he tweeted out right after he left Michigan, he was going to make his announcement on July 5th. Then yesterday, he tweets out that I guess it's commitment season, and all of a sudden, the crystal balls from the blog boys and the recruiting folks are just pouring in for this commitment to come to Michigan. So we're going to dive more into it, tell you where Michigan is, kind of shaking out with these 4 commitments in the month of June, where they're shaking out in the Big Ten and the national recruiting rankings coming up right here. But before we do that, we're going to tell you about Magic Spoon. We are presented by Magic Spoon. It is phenomenal cereal. I used to eat cereal all the time as a little kid. You get older, you eat cereal, you get this big cereal belly. The cereal you eat as kids is packed with sugar, but not Magic Spoon. It is no sugar, 13 grams of protein, only 4 grams of net carbs per serving. And I just want to say it again, no sugar. If you use our URL, magicspoon.com/GoBlue. Just type that into your browser, magicspoon.com/GoBlue. You get $5 off your order. I've been eating this stuff every single day. I love it. I've got the grain, and what flavor is this? Peanut butter. I've got a little cocoa here, frosted. This is the good stuff around the Yoder household. So low carbs, high in protein, no sugar, and you're not going to just sit there and have a cereal belly once you eat Magic Spoon. It is magicspoon.com/GoBlue. If you're looking to get back in the cereal game, you had too much sugar in your cereal as a kid, you want to keep eating awesome tasting cereal as an adult, Magic Spoon is the way to go. It's magicspoon.com/GoBlue. 2022 recruiting rankings, the top classes. You've seen this on prior shows because Michigan has really struggled over the past few months getting back to where I think most Michigan fans think they should be, which is at or near the top 10. With Ohio State sitting at number 1, Notre Dame, obviously a Michigan rival, at number 2. The fact that Michigan was down in the 20s was not cutting it with Michigan football fans. But LSU number 3, Georgia 4, Florida State 5. We'll kind of dive into the bottom half of this top 10 here. Michigan is now sitting at number 11 with Texas A&M 6, Penn State 7, Oklahoma 8, and a couple real surprising schools here. Rutgers at number 9, and Boston College at number 10. Michigan's had 4 commitments this month so far. 4-star quarterback that committed, 3-star running back, 3-star offensive lineman, and a 3-star linebacker, Aaron Alexander, out of the state of Michigan. So Michigan's now up to number 11. They get another commitment, they might be right up in there in the top 10. And before we continue on the story, I wanted to tell those of you who have never watched the show before what the Harbaugh Heads meters even means. If we give something 0 Harbaugh Heads, that means it is totally false, fake news. 1 Harbaugh Head means it's a small shred of truth. 2 Harbaugh Heads means people are talking 50-50. We'll see where it goes. 3 Harbaugh Heads, like this story here, means it is pretty likely. And if we get 4 Harbaugh Heads, that means it's F-A-C-K, fact. That is how Jim Harbaugh spells it. So, of course, that is how we spell the word fact at the Michigan Football Report. More on Mario Eugenio. I like that Michigan is identifying these offensive and defensive linemen from outside of the Midwest. And I think that one of the problems that we saw over the past few years under Jim Harbaugh, Don Brown in some ways in the defensive linemen, but maybe most importantly, Matt Dudek, 2 of the 3 of those guys not with this program anymore, is they went small and with their offensive defensive linemen, or if they went out of state or out of region, like with Mario here, they went for lower rated players. He is a top 260, 275 player in the country, a consensus 4-star. All the schools in the South outside of Georgia and Alabama are recruiting him heavily, certainly the schools inside of the state of Florida, and quite a few Big Ten schools. As I mentioned, he was going out to Indiana. I hope Michigan recruits a little bit better than Indiana. But nevertheless, as soon as he came off this Michigan visit, he decided to cancel his visit to Indiana this past weekend. He'll be committing on July 5th, so keep an eye out for that one. I think he is 75% or higher that he is going to commit to Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan football team. But let me ask you this question. Rate your interest in recruiting right now. I think mine personally is at like a 3 or a 4, mostly because it's the summer and we haven't really seen many of these high school football players play over the last few years, at least last season. Many of them have been on campus until now. And I think you're going to get this hodgepodge of highly rated players that don't do well in college, lowly rated players that do well in college. And unless Michigan has really come up with some sort of formula in the past 2 months that has this new recruiting staff being able to identify those players better than other schools, I think we're going to get a lot of players from this class that don't turn out to be as well, as strong as we anticipated. But hopefully there'll be quite a few of those diamonds in the rough that turn out to be stars for this team. All right, I got the producer in my ear here, and this is disappointing, and so we got to do something about it. The Michigan podcast, who had like a 12,000 subscriber lead on us when we started this channel. They were at like 12,000. We were at 0. We pulled ahead of them a couple months ago, and we just checked the rankings. Look at the competition. They are now ahead of us. So Steve Deese is the guy's name. Michigan podcast, 14,100 subscribers. I am in shambles. I'm shamed. I'm a bum at this point. The people around the office are kind of like kicking dirt on my desk because we no longer have the most subscribers of any Michigan football YouTube channel. So I want you guys to do, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you have and you enjoy the show, send the link, youtube.com/MichiganTV, to a friend or two. Tell them other Michigan football fans, watch this show with Yoder. He has good information. He's funny. Whatever you want, but I don't know about these other guys. The Wolverine, isn't that some sort of a Marvel movie? WTKA and Sloppy Sam, they're doing good there at 4,250 subscribers. We're sitting at 13,500. We got, 600 behind the Michigan podcast. We can do that pretty quickly. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Next story up, Michigan, North Carolina to play. Well, this isn't football, folks. This is a basketball story, and it just dropped before we were filming today. 4 Harbaugh Heads on this one. Originally, it was broken by John Rothstein of CBS Sports. He's one of their college basketball guys on CBS Sports. Put out that source. North Carolina will host Michigan in the 2021 ACC Big Ten Challenge. And a couple other games to think about. I really wish that Michigan would have faced off against Duke in this one. The game is going to be on December 1st. Wednesday, December 1st, Michigan at North Carolina. I wish Michigan had played Duke, right? Coach K is retiring after this year, and with Juwan Howard being Michigan's head coach, I think the national intrigue, the intrigue amongst the school fan bases, the Big Ten, the ACC fan bases, would have been much higher than North Carolina with a brand new coach versus Michigan. So that's kind of a bummer, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Duke is actually going to play at Ohio State. Some other notable matchups in this year's Big Ten ACC Challenge: Iowa, Virginia, Notre Dame at Illinois, and Louisville is taking on Michigan State. So Michigan, North Carolina is the matchup for the basketball team. December 1st, Wednesday, December 1st, Michigan at UNC. Got some more Michigan football rumors for you. Again, I am your host, James Yoder, going to talk about the latest transfer that hit Michigan's football program about a week and a half ago. Daylen Baldwin, the transfer wide receiver from Jackson State. Did he not expect an offer from Michigan or Ohio State or some of the other big schools? I'm giving this one 4 Harbaugh heads, F-A-C-K, fact on this one, because he said it himself. He expected to go to a MAC school. So giving this one 4 Harbaugh heads. So let's dive in a little bit more. If you're not familiar, Daylen Baldwin, out of Southfield, Michigan originally, 2017 recruit, unrated recruit, didn't have any big offers, ended up going to, Murray State, whatever it was, transferred again to Jackson State after a second year. Had to sit out the 2019 season and then really showed out this spring, the 2020 season, but they played it in March and April of 2021. Led the conference in receiving yards, also was the conference newcomer of the year, and after 4 years in lower level college football, decided to take a shot at the big leagues. Thought he would transfer to a MAC school, is what he said in a handful of interviews. But Ohio State came on strong, Michigan came on strong. He said Penn State came on strong, but then didn't offer him a scholarship at all. So it was just Michigan and Ohio State were the biggest programs in the geographical region he was looking to. Grew up an Ohio State fan, he said. I guess that's not surprising given his age, 21, 22 years old, that Ohio State has been dominating this rivalry over the past few years. Grew up an Ohio State fan, but went down there, got a scholarship offer, but they were pretty frank with him. Told him that he would be at best their number 4 wide receiver for the next year or two. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. 2019, he redshirted as a transfer. 2020, he didn't actually get any eligibility taken away because the NCAA didn't count it for any of these schools. But where will he fit into the depth chart? I want to show you where the depth chart is prior to his transferring. Ronnie Bell, Cornelius Johnson, Mike Sainristil, I've slotted them as my 3 starters right now if Michigan sticks with a 3 wide receiver set. Roman Wilson, Christian Dixon, redshirt freshman, true freshman at wide receiver 1 as backups, A.J. Hunting, wide receiver 2, and then Andrell Anthony, a true freshman who had a really nice spring, will be the backup at slot receiver position. But where does Baldwin fit? I think Michigan must have told him that he'd be better than their 4th wide receiver, or he would have just gone to Ohio State, given the passing offense and the passing yards that they put up down there. But I think he's got a good chance of being a starting wide receiver. He is much more proven than the guys that Michigan has returning. Let's just take a look at what Michigan is returning from this wide receiver position. Ronnie Bell, nice year last year. Only 6 games. His 3rd nice year being one of Michigan's leading receivers. He had 26 catches, 401 yards, and a touchdown. Cornelius Johnson had a really nice season after not being penciled in as a starter or really not even a high-level contributor for a lot of people going into the season. But after that, Roman Wilson, 9 catches. Mike Sainristil, with some injury bugs last year, only 7 catches last year. So I actually think that Daylen Baldwin could be one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in production, potentially even being a starter right out of the gate for Michigan this season. So I'll ask you guys the question, though. Who will have the most receiving yards on this team in the 2021 season that gets kicked off here in 2 months and a week from now? If you think it's Ronnie Bell, I'll put my vote in for Ronnie Bell as of right now. Go ahead and type RB. If you think it's Daylen Baldwin, the newcomer, type in DB. If you think it's Cornelius Johnson, who, had they played a full season last year, I think he ends up being your leading receiver given how strong he was playing towards the last 2, 3, 4 games of the year. If you think it's not one of those guys, go ahead and give me a go blue in the comments. I'm typing Ronnie Bell, but I want to know from you. All right, to wrap up today's show, I want to answer today's trivia question. Which quarterback has the most completions in a single game in Michigan football history? Producer, throw it up on the screen. It is Tom Brady versus Alabama. January 1st, 2000 season, the 1999 season Orange Bowl against Alabama. Brady went 34 for 46, 369 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Those 34 completions, crazy enough, those are the most in a single game in Michigan football history. We'll be back with more Michigan football news and rumors and more trivia questions coming up in a day or two. Until then, go blue.